Welcome to the Extra Pass podcast presented by Melbourne United. I'm your host, Ben Hopkins. Not joined as always by my co-host, Adam Ballinger. He's out today. He's saying goodbye to his parents who are departing Australia. They've been here visiting, got to see a very good win on the weekend. But I'm joined by a very special co-host, and I have to say he's very special because he's my boss. It's Chief Marketing Officer, Tom Vandervoos. Tom, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
I'm good, and thanks for that intro. You're not fired. How good?
Yeah, I know. Jeez. Well, now that I got that over and done with, I think, I'm sort of settled down a little bit. Yeah. And we're joined today by a very special guest. We took a lot of time to work out what his exact title was. It's Leadership and Development Consultant, Trent Hotton.
Thanks for that. I think I need a title like yours.
Yeah, well, I actually got to name myself.
I bet you spent a bit of time on it too.
No.
Cool. Thank you.
Trent, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Not a problem.
Tell us a bit about, we just sort of talked about your title, Leadership and Development Consultant. Can you tell us a bit about what you do here at United?
Oh, not really. No, I can't. No. I suppose what I do is just related to performance. So it's really how do we get the best performance from our team? But it really comes down to two things. So we sort of look at our agreed expectations. So we agree to how do we want to go about it as a team? What do we want to look like as a team? What do we expect from each other as a team? And as individuals within that team. And then the second thing we look at really heavily is how do we develop our relationships so that we can help each other deliver on those expectations, not so that we can go and have a frothy together or go and have a sandwich at lunch, but so we can actually go, hey, you're doing the right thing. I've got a good enough relationship where I can pat you on the back and say, well done, that's helped me in this way. But if you're not doing the right thing, I've got a good enough relationship where I can pat you on the back and say, hey, let's try and do it this way because it's going to help you and it's going to help me.
I mean, you've been around professional sport for a long time. How important is that, I guess, accountability in successful teams?
Oh, hugely important. It's something that poor teams don't have. And it's really the difference between even an average team and a really high-performing team. And you get some high-performing teams that do it inconsistently. But if they're doing it consistently day in, day out, week in, week out, you generally get your performances over a long period of time. And they're the teams that generally win the championships.
Can you tell us a bit about what this United team, because I think from the outside, it's easy to look at this team and see how we're performing and, it's been really strong over the first half of the season, but can you give us a little bit of a behind the scenes view on, what this team's like to work with?
Yeah, the team's actually really good to work with. My job's pretty easy, to be honest.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah. I'm well overpaid. Look, we did a fair bit in recruitment. So we had some really good people at the club. We also, when we looked in who do we want to bring in, and we really looked at getting high quality people who could play basketball really well as well. We don't just go, let's get a good person in if they can't play. But we looked at both sides equally, not just, hey, they can score a bucket, they can rebound, they can assist, they can do all these things. And yeah, they're not a bad person, but we really looked at both. Both things had to be at a high level for us to consider that person.
What was the recruitment process like? And I guess how difficult is that, especially when you're looking at guys who are, overseas, playing college, playing internationally, people that you haven't sort of been around? How difficult is that process to make sure this person's not just saying the right things because they want to play here, or this person is genuinely going to be the right fit?
Yeah, it's going in depth, interviewing people who are a little bit away from the team. So not just their coach, it might be the team manager or the team manager of other teams, the coaches of other teams, players that they've played against, just to get an insight into what's the league seeing from them. And when I say a good person, I actually mean in terms of we've got a real big emphasis on helping someone else make someone else better. And so do we think that person is selfless enough and will do the things that the team needs above what they need? And that's the real difference in teams. If you're prepared to go, okay, well, I don't need 20 points tonight, I'm happy to have 8 if we win, then that's the people we need. To say, I need 20 no matter whether we win or lose, that's that. And a lot of people will say that, but unless you see it in action and you see, like you saw yesterday when we were up by 20 or 30 points, or probably only 15 at the time, but Chris had 18 in the first half, and he made some amazing shots in the first half. And then the second half, he had a couple of half-open shots that he probably could have taken and probably could have made, but made an extra pass, gave someone an open shot, gave Dally a layup, those sort of things. And that's what we need from our leaders, and that's what we need for all our people within the team who are prepared to go, hey, I'm on a heater, but I'm still going to make sure I'm doing the right play for our team to make sure we score and not just have a chance of scoring.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, you've been around for how many years with Melbourne United now?
I think this is my seventh.
So when you first arrived compared to what we've got now in terms of our team culture, how have you seen that evolve over the years?
Look, to be honest, the first year I was here, it was we won the championship actually that first year, but it was really easy to make a quick change. He had some people who were desperate for success and saying, hey, what we're doing isn't working. We need to change. And it was quite easy to get some change really immediately because of, Chris was in and he was really keen to get some results. And, there's a number of people, Dave Barlow and Ty Wesley and these guys who wanted some results and went, yeah, we know with a little bit of guidance we can probably do those right things. And Dean and the assistant coaches did a great job of saying, here's how we're going to hold you to account and here's the line we need you to meet. The tough thing is to do it over and over again, year in, year out, because once you've had a little bit of success, it's like, oh, yeah, we can do this.
Yep.
It's okay. And, and as a club, sometimes we get a little bit ahead of ourselves and say, oh, we can bring in anyone. We can make, we've got a strong enough culture that we can bring in whoever we need and we'll make sure that they do what we need them to do. That's not always the case. So we have to check ourselves every now and then and say, hey, we made an error saying, yeah, we could bite off more than we could chew, and we chewed like hell and we didn't get there.
Yeah, and it can be a bit of a buzzword. Like people throw around team culture or club culture quite a lot in sport, but I think from the outside looking in, well, I know I'm working in a sports club, but I'm not on the team. But when things start to really go wrong, and then people turn to where that culture should be, that void of culture it's quite evident in the teams that really fall apart. Like, how hard is it to implement culture standards when things are going wrong to try and right the ship?
Yeah, they're quite difficult. I think last year, and even though we didn't make the finals and had a poor year, by our standards, by where we hold ourselves and where we want to be, I think we actually did a pretty good job of turning it around. It took a while, but it did turn around, and so I think that's sometimes the way where the pressure mounts and it's like, oh, we've got to try something different. Whereas sometimes holding your line is just as important and saying, no, look, yes, we've had some injuries, we've had some narrow losses, and we've played poorly. We still need to improve, and I don't think it matters whether you're losing or winning. Sometimes I think both of those things can cause lapses. Mm-hmm. Losing can cause the pressure to mount and everyone to unpack everything, but winning can cause people to go, we're all good. We can start to take it easy. So I think either of those things presents a challenge.
So on the team, you've got an acronym which has been used for a long time, and one of those words within that acronym is accountability. Do you feel, off the back of what you just said, that may be one of the most important, if not the most important, out of those 5?
Oh, it's a hard one. Yeah, it probably is fairly important, but I don't think anything is. Look, probably the one we take for me is selfless. If you're willing, because our big mantra is help someone, make someone else better, and that's that. If we live by that, you can still make some errors and all those things. But if you're right, if the intent's right, for me, that's the important part. But the accountability piece is. Most of the guys do the right thing most of the time in all professional sport these days. It's such a great reward and a great joy to do and play sport for a living. So they know they're in a really good space and want to stay there and they want to win. It's very rare to see a team turn up and go, don't care if I win or lose. That's this season. So they're really going to do most of the things they can do to be impactful. Sometimes they get it wrong because they think, oh no, I don't need to do that. Sometimes guys who are highly talented tend to, cruise at different times and not take it as seriously, and sometimes think they can still get by. But if you really want to be consistent over a long period, it comes down to one thing.
Yeah, and you talk about that consistency. You've been here 7 years, 2 championships, only 1 year missing the playoffs. Can you talk about, I guess, that consistency and how difficult but how rewarding it's been to make sure, like, okay, each year we're ticking these boxes and we're going to do whatever we can to be competing for a championship?
Yeah, it is pretty difficult because it feels like, particularly from my point of view, and I suppose from Dean's and the coaches as well, you're driving, and even Chris and the leaders, driving those standards can be, oh, geez, I feel like I've been driving this pretty hard. And when you're not getting any traction, it feels like you're the only one carrying a stick around. But that's not how you want it to be. So I think the other thing we've added probably since the middle of last year is try to enjoy ourselves a little bit more. I think the fact that, if I reflect on the past 5 years and say, well, over those years we've won 2 championships, I probably think we might have missed 1 or 2. So in that essence, yes, you can do everything right, you can go well, and things you can't win because the other teams are really good, and they're competing really hard, and and on your day you're going to lose some games. So what we try to do is not necessarily go, hey, we've won with championships and let's celebrate that at the end of the year. We wanted to have some celebrations throughout the year. So, we brought in a lot of feasts this year, a lot of, any 2-game win on a weekend. There's a barbecue on the Wednesday, and as you guys have been down to, which is great, So we're trying to enjoy ourselves a little bit more throughout the season, enjoy the wins and enjoy the successes.
Yeah, shout out the Smirchy family for the barbecue.
Goodness gracious.
Team manager's family just rolling it out.
Yes,
that was unbelievable.
That was probably
it's a highlight
of the year so far. But the win's been good, but the Smirch,
barbecues, oh my.
One guy you mentioned, and we've talked about him a bit throughout the episode so far, is Chris, and he's the head of the snake really on the court, and we'd be remiss not to talk about his game from this round where he has that amazing second quarter and really breaks the game open. You've both been around the club for longer than I, and seen Chris enjoy a lot of success and see Chris play a lot of really good basketball. Is this some of the best basketball you've ever seen him play?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, he's been elite for a long time.
He has. He's been very good. Before I came here, I remember watching him when I was doing some work with New Zealand, and he was unbelievable then. Nearly beat us by himself a few times. But look, I've loved the way Chris has grown off the court as well. I think he's so much more considerate of the team. He understands the impact that he has on the team and how good he is, but he also understands that everyone needs to come along with him and he needs to share the load. And we've still played him heavy minutes this year again, but I even, as I said from yesterday's second half, he made sure that he got others involved and didn't say, hey, I'm going to keep going at this. I want to get others involved. And I think that's what he's done really well this year. He's been prepared to ask questions, but been prepared to open himself up a little bit and be a bit more vulnerable as a leader, not to have all the answers.
Yeah, he certainly evolved from a player that had his own individual highlight reel being exceptional. And you think back to the 50-point game of the Tigers and his early days at United, where he was breaking Torrey Craig's ankles and stuff like that. But now and I think you're accurate in saying that his professionalism and his ability to lift his teammates with him has, as a result, would probably suggest that yes, he is playing the best basketball because it's not just his highlight reel anymore; it's everyone around him that he's bringing up. And that goes to his culture that it's being led by, as part of the leadership team, like he's really elevating everyone around him. Even if he's, dropping 5 threes in 2.5 minutes and then drawing defense and kicking the ball around or I think someone who's... Yeah, thank you. Someone said...
nice little extra pass.
I think it was Barlow. Barlow said CG's gravity. He literally just pulls defenders into him. I really like that term because he starts having his own gravity. He just draws in the opposition and then frees everybody else up around him.
Because it's one of those freakish things that you either have it or you don't, and it exists in every level of basketball. If there's a really good player and they're going off, you need to pay so much more attention to them, and it just opens up opportunities for everyone else.
Yeah, and fans can get a bit frustrated because it's like, oh my God, CG's on an absolute heater. And then the next quarter, he's like, what? Where did he go?
Yeah, he didn't even take a shot. And it's one of those things where, for a lot of the third quarter, it's Sam McDaniel or it's another defender from the Bullets basically hugging him, making sure he's not getting the ball, making sure he's not, getting an open catch. But while people may think, Melbourne United aren't running enough stuff to get CG the ball. Well, actually, we're creating an opportunity where it's 4-on-4, and I'd back our 4 over basically any other 4. And still, if there's any laps, CG gets open and hits a 3 anyway.
3.5. Like his gravity is pulling that extra defender in and creating space for his teammates. Which, if you had a bad culture, he might be sooking about that, being like, like feed me, I'm the hot guy. But as a result of our decent culture, it's not that. And we're winning games.
Yeah, and also I think for Chris, it's he's much more mature as he's not at the end of his career, certainly by any means, but he's not at the start. So he's sort of gone, hey, it's not about me scoring points, and he wants to win championships, and he knows the way to win championships is through a really great team.
Let me ask you a question, because as I said before, culture can be a bit of a buzzword, and our fans who are listening to this at home might think, okay, great, professional sport has culture standards and that helps them succeed at that level, but how can it be applied to local basketball? How can it be applied to people that are early in their basketball career or looking to further their basketball career and build up through the ranks? Like, where does culture show up? Because it's not just on the court during those 40 minutes. It's at home. It's in recovery. Like, how can they apply or make changes to their culture in their world?
Yeah, well, to me, I suppose, firstly, culture to me is a result of what you reward and what you challenge. So if you reward something, people keep doing it. Like if you like biscuits and you do something well and I give you a biscuit, you're going to do it again.
Yes, I will.
Got another biscuit.
Love a biscuit.
So
you got any biscuits on you?
No. But for me, that so it's a behavioural piece. So culture is not necessarily culture as someone says culture. It's how we behave day in, day out.
Right.
And so culture is driven by a number of things. What you reward and what you challenge, but it also what your leaders do. So what you drive and you can reward people in a number of ways. So in a basketball sense, and whether that be in a domestic situation or whether that be in a professional league, you reward someone usually by court time, and in a professional sense, an extra contract, a next year contract or an extension or these sort of things. So in a domestic situation, we tend to reward the person who scores points. Oh, yeah, he scored 20 points. He's a great player. Now, he might not play defense. He might not pass the ball. But we still reward him, and he thinks, hey, I'm doing a great job. He or she thinks, I'm doing a fantastic job. I'm scoring the ball. Coach keeps playing me, keeps patting me in the back. When we start to then go, but you're not playing defense, maybe sit down, have a rest, because you've got enough energy to play one end, play really hard at both ends until you're tired, and then you come off instead of resting at one end. And so you can challenge those sort of things really easily. And that's where I have a lot of conversation with Dean around, hey, are we rewarding the right things? So that's what I'm continually checking in around, hey, this guy's doing this, seems like it's what we want. Shouldn't he be on a little bit more, that sort of thing? So, there's sort of questions that you're always challenging and asking.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great finding out so much about our culture and sort of the behind this, giving our fans a behind the scenes look. We're going to find out a little bit more about you, Trento, after the break. Tom's got some hard-hitting questions. He's got big shoes to fill because he'll be stepping in for balls with Fast Five with balls. Or Fast Five with Tom, I should say.
Want to stay up to date with everything happening at Melbourne United? Download the Melbourne United app today. Filled with videos, audio and articles about your favourite team. It's the one-stop shop for everything Melbourne United. Download the Melbourne United app via the App Store on iOS or the Google Play Store on Android.
And we're back on the Extra Pass podcast, and it's time for Fast Five with Tom.
Ready?
This is Fast Five with balls.
Been waiting for this the whole time. Now we're on to the fun stuff. They're hard hitting, so I hope you're ready.
Is there a sting?
Lockie puts it in post. I can hit this. I don't know what any of the buttons do. One of these is
yeah.
Oh, there you go. It goes for a minute though.
A minute? Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, big shoes to fill. I asked Balls what size shoes he had, and he did say US 16 to 17. So
ooh, that's big.
Literally big. I could put my whole shoe into his shoe. So, yeah, don't judge my questions, but I have written a few down, which I believe Balls doesn't do. I think
no. Balls always writes his down.
Oh, okay.
Whether it's like 5 minutes before the guest comes in, Oh, it's up to balls.
No, I've
He
been
has his
thinking
own
long and hard since yesterday when you said we don't have balls for the podcast.
Balls has his own creative process.
All right. Yeah, no judgment to the great man. All right, so first question, you being here for the last 7 or so years, who has been your number one favourite Melbourne United player to work with?
Oh, jeez.
That's like asking who his favourite kid is.
Yeah, I want to know.
And who's your favourite kid?
I have had a favourite kid at different times. I remember one day Dean gave me a T-shirt, one of the basketball's T-shirt. And I said to the boys, whoever's my favourite kid at the end of the week gets this T-shirt. And every day I was like, you're in front. And it was only based on, but again, I keep going back to, for me, everything's behaviour based. So my kids, I was like, whoever behaves the best for this week will be my favourite kid. So you know, don't get a black mark and you'll be good. So no, in that essence, oh geez, there's been so many. Like I don't have a favourite.
Oh come on, you got to pick one.
No, I'm not going to.
I refuse.
Can you give us a top three?
No, but I've loved. Like I can go start from where we went at the start. You know, I love the way different people have loved different things about them. So DA, you know, in my first year here, and then he came back. You know, he was great for just getting around the group and making sure everyone was, you know, living it up. And you know, Newell's was trying, you know, sort of slowly take it into that period. You know, guys who were just diligent and did everything right. You know, your Jack Whites. You know, now to Chris Goulding, to that sort of thing. You know, he's always had a really strong work ethic, and you know, he's always the last one off the court. You know, shooting and practicing, and you know, it's no secret to why he can shoot threes. You know, to Shea Illy and Daly, who just absolutely grind away and give it everything. You know, and then you know you got your guys who have developed, and you got Joe, who's who came back, after 12 months away. To me, a really, really mature, different mindset of the way he went about it. So yeah, I think over the journey there's been quite a few. Everyone's had a bit of an impact, and really, I suppose the ones I value the most are the ones I learn from as well. So they challenge me. But Barlow used to always challenge what I had to say, and he always made me think. And it was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And
while stretching, of course.
While he was stretching, yes, he had the quad stretch going on while he was questioning. But yeah, look, I think along that extent, most of the players have had an impact on the way I've gone about it, and challenged the way I've done things. So it's been good.
Not one of my fast fives, so don't look at my notes, but little sub-question off the back of that. A bit of a topical one, Mitch McCarron. Did you see the clip?
I did, yes.
Yeah, what did you think?
I thought it was okay.
I thought
he addressed it.
It takes a lot because we know Mitch quite well.
Yeah, for him, he obviously hit the point that he needed to speak.
Tough love's good love. Sometimes you need that.
Sometimes you do. I would say you probably need to follow it up with some specifics though, like in terms of exacts. Like, okay, this happened. I think sometimes when we speak generally,
tough love is not anger. You can't.
No, it's not anger. Yeah. It's sometimes you can be angry at the time, but you've got to circle back.
Sure.
If making sure you circle back and address some of those things and have some one-on-ones with those people that you feel were doing the things that weren't helpful. Because if you're not specific and you're saying, hey, shit's going bad, everything's happening that's not great. Sometimes I sit here and go, well, it wasn't me, was it? Whereas we all three of us might be sitting here going, oh, he wasn't talking about the stuff I'm doing, he was talking about someone else. So I just think as long as you're really clear on what it is that's not working and what it is that is working, then you can get to the bottom of it.
Outcome based.
Yes.
Nice. It's a good way to work.
And specifics.
Outcomes and specifics. Very good. Second question. You yourself had a quite a strong career in sport. What was your favourite on-field memory?
Oh, my favourite on-field memory was not actually in the AFL. My favourite on-field memories were really just winning grand finals, and I didn't win one with an AFL club. Carlton, we lost the final. Carlton, we got close a few times, but didn't win a grand final. So my favourite memories were probably Mansfield Footy Club.
Yes.
We won the grand final in, I'm going to say 2004, maybe. And both of my brothers were playing in the team, so
nice.
That was really nice.
Everyone over to Bonnie Doon, get out on the water.
No, we didn't go to Bonnie Doon for the celebration. No, we didn't need the serenity then, so we stayed away from it. But no, look, I had 5 years up at Mansfield, which was a fantastic time.
Great town.
Love the place. And my little brother and my big brother both live there these days, so they've moved up there. They loved it so much. So it's fond memories of it.
Very good. Post-playing career, favourite sport memory? Because you've got a lot of experience across different codes and different teams. Favourite one?
Jeez.
I hit him with it.
Yeah.
Stumped him.
Well, there's been a few championships.
There's a lot
I've been involved with. And the Boomers stuff. It's not necessarily just the wins. It's the reflection on the season. I think there was, some times in that first year I had with Melbourne United, I think we got beat by 30 by Perth in round 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was sort of everyone wanted to have panic stations. I'm like, no, let's follow the process. And I think that year was probably the most rewarding because Melbourne hadn't won a championship before.
Yeah, it was a turbulent season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
dreams and nightmares. Some could say.
Little plug. But yeah, we had people come in and out and back in again, but it was I think that was probably the most rewarding in terms of satisfying in terms of the change that we got. But look, New Zealand. We had the 3 in a row with New Zealand, which was unbelievable.
Hard to beat.
And they were fantastic as well. So there's been a few.
Got a pretty good ring collection. You must.
I don't have too many rings.
Can you just another side question? Sorry, I keep popping them in there. What the CV? So they're just the teams. Can you just rattle off as many you can remember?
Who I've worked with.
That you've worked with.
Yeah, okay. So I did a fair bit with Melbourne Storm early on.
Yep.
That was really interesting, and they won a couple of premierships there. Then where did I go? I went over to England. I worked. Spent a few years in London. Worked with Munster Rugby, Worcester Rugby,
Powerhouses,
Surrey Cricket, Doncaster. I was actually signed a contract with we had a guy come over with us, Gerard Murphy, and we ended up signing a contract with Newcastle, not in the Premier League.
Right.
But then their coach got sacked before they started, so that's one of the turbulent things of EPL. And one of the guys who did sign with me in the Championship League said, "Look, you know why no one's using you?" He said, "Well, if I get sacked just because my team's bad, I'll get another job. If I get sacked because I've tried this new bloke who turned out to be a gherkin, then I won't get a job anywhere because I'm a crazy person." So it was quite interesting to sort of go into a new environment and try and do something that no one else had done.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent a few years there, and when I came back, then started work with New Zealand
Breakers.
Spent a bit, then came here. I've worked with the Boomers, the New Zealand Silver Ferns, so they had during their World Championship. I can't think of too many others.
And then United.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, cultures, the world of culture, sporting culture, corporate culture, a lot of acronyms. What's your favourite acronym that you've encountered?
You can't say share.
Can't say share? Ooh. If I can't say share, I do like... I'm not even sure I'm allowed to say any of them. That's they tend to be internal.
Private, okay.
They tend to be internal. And unless one of the team posts it, then I tend not to speak too much about it.
VIA, very important acronym. Can't share it. All right, and then I think I'd be put down or never allowed back on to the podcast if I didn't ask Balls' number one question. It's a recurring question, and it is: what was the first CD you ever bought? Going back,
I'm thinking it could even be Belinda Carlisle.
I don't even know who that is. Can you sing it?
No, I don't. That was probably my first CD because I bought tapes before that because I'm pretty old.
What was your first cassette?
Cassette. I reckon it was U2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, might have been U2. Oh, could have been the Piano Man. I did go to his concert, Billy Joel's concert. So I might have bought one before then.
Good era of tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that window.
Yep.
All right. Well, there we go. The inaugural first five with Tom.
The first five.
What is it? Fast.
Fast five.
Tom doesn't even know what he's doing.
Oh my God.
Sorry, balls.
Well, I'm pleased. Trento, you smashed it. Thanks for coming on, mate. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Anytime.
And thank you for coming in and co-hosting, Tom. It's a very exciting part of the year, a very, very busy part of the year for us, just trying to, get to our last few home games before the Oz Open break, which is always a very busy period for us.
A couple of big games this week, though.
Big games.
Away throwdown into a game against a team that's struggling with their culture right now, you could say.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that.
Let's not unravel that.
But anytime someone gets a new coach, they always get a lift. So
yeah, true that. Very true.
It'll be a challenge.
And maybe we might even see a new import at SEM.
Yeah, who knows? I guess it's all sort of happening there. They had a good result without one, so
do they run it? Do they run it back again?
Run the risk.
It's nice to see Sydney lose. Throw that grenade in there.
Well, on that note, no, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you both for being here. You've helped me. I've had to talk a lot less. I love balls, but he does tend to sit and wait for me to ask him to talk. So it's been great. So if you haven't already got your tickets for this Saturday night against Adelaide, get them now. And you know what? I'm not one for plugging Southeast home games, but I love it when we go to a Southeast home game and all you can hear is United fans. So I'll give them. Aaron, you're welcome. I'll give Southeast home game a little bit of a plug. Get there on Thursday night and make sure you cheer us on as we get another throwdown victory.
And get open air tickets quickly too.
Oh, they're going. They are going.
Yeah, it's going to sell out.
Yep.
How good.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for that.